Hi kids. I'm up under the dashboard today. You wanna know why? I've had this intermittent windshield wiper switch for a Honda Pilot in my little pile of parts for a long time, a couple of years probably. I read on the Honda Element forum that it was a very easy modification to make. I've just never bothered to do it. Bought the parts, and then they just sit around. That happens to me sometimes. Today's the day. We're gonna get in there, we're gonna add that switch, and we're gonna add two wires about this long. And it's gonna give you the ability to adjust the speed, the time delay on your intermittent windshield wipers. You know, sometimes and maybe you want it to go a little longer than that, or a little shorter than that. Well, this is gonna give you the ability to adjust that, like a fancy car, like a Honda Pilot. Now, if you've ever read that write-up on the Honda Element forum, it's really good and it's really detailed. In fact, it's so detailed you might think that it's a involved, complicated thing to do to your car. It's really not, guys. It's really not. It's so easy to do. You're gonna be sitting there scratching your heads going, why didn't I do this before? Then you're gonna go, why didn't Honda do this from the beginning? Anyway, it goes like this. Take these two screws out. See what we got. All right, now does it pull out? Oh, I knew I was gonna do that. Ah, yeah, there it goes. Okay, and it should come out just like, oh, there we go. Let's just plug this one in for now, see what it does. See how many features we lose or gain. Alright, plug that in. Let's see if any of our stuff works. Front wipers work. Rear wiper works. Alright, so to get the rest of the intermittent set up to work, I will have to add a wire or two under the dash, but there's the switch. So in order to make this work, we're only going to need two wires. The only tricky part about adding these two wires is having the right connectors on the ends. We're going to steal one out of this connector. We're going to steal one out of this connector. We're going to put one on one end, one on the other end, and that's going to make the wire that we need. So let's start with the gray one. We will cannibalize this first. A little fiddly to get those off, but they will eventually come off. Now, you want that off because those little tabs in there hold these wires in for the most part. Hang on. There we go. There's one. That's the big one. So now we go after the small one. There's a little cover that snaps down on this. Just pop it off on the ends. It's easier than the gray one to get apart. There we go. A little fiddly on these. All right, there's our two wire ends. Gonna have two pieces of shrink wrap as well. Let's strip this wire back. My handy dandy Kleins. Strip these wires back. Before we get going crazy soldering on this, let's put our shrink wrap on. Something I am notorious for forgetting. But we want this thing to be as tough as we can manage. And this is probably as tough as I can manage. Purists will say I should be crimping brand new ends onto this wire and doing it that way. And if you have all of that and you're set up to do it, feel free. It surely would be a more clean installation. But this is going to be fairly clean, and I am much better at soldering than I am at crimping. Got to know your limitations. When it comes to soldering, you need to start with a good mechanical connection. This is typical of the way I do 99% of the soldering jobs on a car that I need to do. Take my cheese ball $6 Radio Shack soldering iron, put a little bit of solder on it to conduct some heat, put it to one side of the joint, start my flow, and put my solder on the other side of the joint. This needs to penetrate. Heat needs to go into it. That's what she said. Let that cool for a minute. Then we'll slide the shrink wrap over. If you don't let it cool for a minute, the shrink wrap's gonna shrink before you're ready. All right, now take this and fold it so that the joint is on the smaller wire. Wow, that's hot. I wonder why. Now, we're going to very quickly slide the shrink wrap over this. Need to move quick if it's at all warm, because it's going to start shrinking as soon as it encounters heat. Then we take our barrel on our soldering iron and shrink it up some more. This really isn't meant to be a soldering tutorial, but this is the way I have been soldering up leads since high school. I don't, probably not before that. I don't know, sometime in the 70s. Same trick. And that's it, guys. 2 of those. We're ready to wire it up. All right, guys, it's nighttime. Did I show you guys that I put blue LEDs in my map lights just to be freaky? Makes everything look like a nightclub. So here's my wire. There's a set of large ones and a set of small ones if you did this right. Let's find the bigger ones, and they're going to go in here. So again, if you don't know, you can take a screwdriver or your pick or whatever, pop this out, and flip it upside down. It's going to be in the car like this. Push that little tab, flip it up, and find these blue wires. See the blue wires? See those 2 pins that are left open? Those are the ones we're going to be working with. So these are our larger ones. The split and the crimp we want facing towards the outside of the plug. We'll do that by popping these out. And pop this one out. A little tricky to see. All right. All right, finally. Now, large end again. These are the ends that are crimped. Those McDonald's looking arches should be facing the holes in this connector. Does that make sense? Let's see if I can show you. See if it translates into English in any particular way. Man. All right, there's one. Snaps right in. Did you hear it? Listen. There's that one. Now let's put this little snapper back on. There's that. Now we can plug it back into our switch and move to the underside of the dash. Got some crazy little lights down here. Let's take this panel off so I can see a little better. We're headed back here, back behind this fuse box. All right, there it is, disconnected. Now we've got to pop that little keeper off, which is right there. There we go. Pop that off. Same trick. Now we're going for the small connectors. I'll start over here at the white wire, and the one next to it is one of the ones we're putting in. Let me get Get a little more light on the subject here. Trying to make sure I've got it facing the right direction. Same as before, you should be able to hear them kind of click in. Whoops, that was in upside down. There's two. Now we can put this little cover back on and plug it back in. Plugging it back in is going to be a tricky part. But yeah, it goes in the back side of this fuse box. Now we have intermittent windshield wipers. That's the speed set to the maximum. This is the fastest it's going to go. Then if we crank it all the way the other way, it's going to take quite a bit longer. Yeah. So I think we can all admit that the Honda Pilot is just an infinitely cooler car than the Honda Element. And the reason that it's cooler is, well, it has an ability to adjust the timing on the intermittent windshield wipers. So now that I've done this mod, I can say, welcome to the Cool Kids Club. You can do this. It's a switch and 2 wires. You can do this. I promise. It's not hard. See you next time.